The following presentation is brought to you through the paid memberships of NotaryStars.com, the only notary training platform and resource library with over 150 hours of training on every loan product under the sun. Together with our sister website, OnlineNotariesPublic.com, which focuses on notaries who are pioneering in remote online notary, we strive to give you a safe place to ask questions, get answers, gain confidence in your notary career, and achieve success without overfabricating the truths about our industry. If you would like to support us, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, sharing this video with a colleague, or becoming a member and trusting us to help you achieve the level of success you desire.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome back to MGM Monday General Mentorship. Hey, if you're currently driving, please remember to remain off camera and in listen-only mode. Your safety is important to us. If you're not driving, please remember to watch the chat for links to previous training and current topics that may further answer any questions you might have. We've really kicked off 2024 with some brilliant, I'll get it out in a minute, questions from you guys, and we hope to keep that momentum going. Today is Monday, January 29th, 2024. My name is Beth Hadhoot. I'm the lead instructor for Notary Stars, and I have with me tonight two awesome co-hosts. The fabulous Mr. Ronnie Mickle, the founder and co-owner of Notary Stars, Unlimited Ink Notary, and Online Notaries Public, and of course, Mr. William Bumfree, also known as Mr. Bill, our expert remote online notary instructor. This public training session is held every Monday except for holidays, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, and it's all about you, the brilliant notary and signing agent community who are striving to achieve, maintain, and surpass signing agent excellence. Everybody is trying to get somewhere, and this is all about how we get there together. This type of session works best if you do a couple of things. First, turn on your cameras, interact with us and your colleagues. And two, raise your hand to either ask a question, offer something you've learned to help someone else. All you have to do is virtually raise your hand by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to please consider following us on social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. And we post a great deal of information about free training sessions and short training nuggets there as well. We'll post those links in the chat throughout the meeting, and they'll be accompanied in the replay as well. Mr. Ronnie, are you ready to get this party started?
Absolutely. Just a reminder, we are moving into that digital age, everybody, where we're starting to do our jobs online. And even those of you in California that may say it's not 7 years for us, we want to get comfortable being in front of the camera because our jobs are advertising our work is also moving to social media. So this is a positive, friendly environment where you can be on camera with colleagues. And we're not judging you, but we'd love to see those cameras light up. It makes it much easier to interact with all of you when we can see your faces. So just to reiterate that sentiment. I want to announce first that we have an update to the Notary Stars website. We have gone through this first month. We made it just tonight, handmade sliding into third. We have called every company that is on our hiring list of those hundreds of companies that we offer to ensure that they're still in business. And we've also revamped your journey at Notary Stars in order to look at those hiring companies. You now have the ability to star this for later, meaning that you can star those companies that you want to see and they'll show up in your Notary Stars profile. So companies you like to work with. You can do that now. The feedback is still private. If you're not a Notary Star member, you don't have access to this, but it is an update that we want to point out to you. There will be two versions of the way to get to this. Right now, only one is posted. You'll notice a big difference in the hiring companies list. And unfortunately, when we went through this list, we lost about half of them because during the downturn, about half of those signing services closed their doors. So that list, if you're just making your way through or trying to make your way through this year, has been officially updated. There's not a company that's on that list that's not in business. We went through, called every single one of them, went to every single one of their websites so that you don't have to do the hard work. We'll be doing that every year to make sure that they're updated. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is our blacklist of companies just got updated. You guys don't hear this very often, but notary signing agents are not the only entity that can be blacklisted. You never hear about title getting blacklisted, lenders getting blacklisted. You only hear about notaries. Well, guess what? Sign services can get blacklisted too. We are very sparing with this at Notary Stars. We've only update this once or twice a year where a company really goes off the rails. And I caught wind of something where this is what happened. A signing service that I won't name, but let's just say what happened was a notary received an order from them and they immediately Googled them and said, hey, based on your reviews for non-payment and the way you treat notaries, I'd like to decline this offer. The signing was for a week later. And they wrote back and said, well, your reviews are going to be worse than ours. And we have a copy of that transaction email. So they have now been added to our blacklist under Notary Stars. We don't treat notaries that way. There are notaries that don't want to work with Unlimited Ink Notary. I don't take it personal. If you go out talking crap and you never worked with me before, that's one thing. But if you go out and you decide to make that personal decision not to work with me, that is completely on you. But that list has now been updated for you guys to, go in and print out. And no matter what membership level you are on, you have access to that blacklist. I consider that abuse when you threaten a notary to write bad reviews on them.
To retaliate
If they choose not to work with you. If you choose not to work with me, that's up to you. But when if you threaten someone to take an order, that's you're on the blacklist. It's not just payments that we put blacklist companies on. Okay, so you guys have a lot of power as notaries to say I don't want to work with a company. Okay, it's just a matter of how you say it, but this notary actually did it politely. Last thing that I want to say, and then we can get into the questions. Last month, or actually this month, we presented 3 of the top electronic notary journals in the country to you, and that included a bunch of Thursday nights that we stayed up late, but we're going to do it again to you this month. We have, starting off with VinBooks on Thursday. You do not have to register for these events, so you will be invited in. We have VinBooks kicking it off. Notary Assist and Notary Gadget are coming in to just talk about their accounting softwares. There is some interesting things about each one of these softwares that has changed this year. And so I really hope that you'll come and watch these. We allow everyone who is a reputable company to present here at Notary Stars. So Thursday, every day this month, except for the third Thursday, is dedicated to accounting softwares. And then we're going to kind of slow it down a little bit in March, because we've done January out the gate, February out the gate, and then me and Miss Beth need a break. If you missed the tax questions, I'm going to post this in the chat. If you missed the tax presentations, I've posted 2 of them in the chat right now. One of them is the full 2-hour session, and one of them is a simplified session where Travis goes back and dumbs it down, because we had so many questions from that 2-hour session left over that didn't get answered. Travis went through and combed all of those, so I hope you'll take those from the chat. I can see likes going on it right now. And then the last thing I want to remind you about is, for the first time ever, I do my marketing course, but we started a podcast together with Abraham Zamora, and we're doing Notary Business Talk. I put that into the chat just after that. You can watch the first 2 sessions, and you can watch all of them for free if you attend live. After that, you have to pay for it on his Patreon account, but you can actually be a part of the audience. So I want to make sure that you are aware of those things that we have going on. And right now is the time to start thinking about direct business. I'll say it one time at the top of the hour, and then we're going to go into questions that were written in. I didn't want to work for signing services either, so I started one. Okay. I don't train you just at Notary Stars to work with only signing services. I think even Unlimited Ink Notary should be filling in your calendar. We don't pay the highest in the country. But guess what? When everybody wants to call me a low baller and all those things, I'm here every single week and have been for the last 5 years, pouring my heart and soul out to you on how to work and how to do this industry. I may not have the highest fees, but I don't charge the clients some of the things that these other companies are doing. I didn't want to work for signing services, so I started one. I want you guys to know how to do direct business as well. And that's why we started this monthly free podcast with Abraham, the notary entrepreneur, so that you guys can learn how to walk in that door and take control of your notary career. You should never burn your bridges with signing services, but you should definitely know how to navigate and just fill in holes with signing services. You know, I have some notaries in Arizona, our biggest market, that say, I only want to work with you. That's fine. If you choose to only work with signing services, that's great. But you should have direct clients too. Every single person on this call and anybody watching the replay should have direct business. Ms. Beth, are you ready to get started with the questions?
I am. The very first one comes in from our jot forms. Guys, if you don't know, we have a jot form set up to where if you think of a question on Tuesday and you don't think you're going to remember it by the time Monday rolls around to ask that question, throw it in the jot form and it'll be there. We'll try and get to it during our live session. Here tonight, if you have a question that you want to pose to us, get your hands raised, get in the queue, and we'll pick you up as soon as we see that hand go up. For now, we're going to start with our jot form questions. So the first one is from Tanya G. Getting ready to renew my E&O insurance. Is there more insurance that I should have? If so, what kinds are there that I should add to my coverage? Well, I can talk on that really quickly on one aspect, and then I know someone else is going to chime in on a different type of insurance. But guys, you need to know E&O insurance is for notarial errors. Every business owner out there should carry business liability. There are other things that can happen during your daily course of business activities that can land you in hot water and on the other end of a lawsuit. So business liability is the one that I would tell you should automatically go along with your E&O insurance. And then Mr. Rami, or Bill, probably our Ron instructor, Mr. Bill, tell us what other kind of insurance probably ought to be on that list.
Well, let me preface by saying I am in no manner, an insurance agent. So I'm just going to tell you my understanding of stuff. But cybercrime coverage is an important one to have, especially as a remote online notary, because if you're hacked, you have a lot of personal information that's come through to your computer and probably sits on your computer. And if it were ever hacked, you have to be able to have something to cover that. Now, that is not to be confused with you can also have a cyber insurance coverage on your personal liability. Because let's say if you're hacked, if my computer is just hacked by some outside source and they gain information that they shouldn't, that would fall under my cyber crime coverage with my business owner's policy. But if I accidentally emailed a document to the wrong person, like let's say I was going to email completed documents to Ronnie and I accidentally put in the wrong name and emailed them to the wrong person, which can happen very easily because we all have pre-populated emails in our to and CC, then I've caused injury and I've done it electronically. And so then that would fall under a different insurance. So you want to be sure that you talk to your insurance agent to make sure that you have the coverages in the right places, because you really probably should have two. And And that's, I mean, that's accidents. That's also, I think, I can think just last week of at least 2 different times where I had emails that were sent to me. Hey, my client needs to set up a RON signing. Here's their driver's license and their social security number. And I didn't instigate that, but it came to me. So if it came to me and I didn't screw up, that's going to be covered under my cyber crimes business owner policy. If I screwed up and sent things back, then that could fall under my E&O liability. That's just my understanding.
I did
Ronnie
not
probably-
know that.
Yeah.
And Miss Beth, do you mind if I put my 2 cents on it? It's right at the end before we move on to the raised hand there.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to type this in the chat. So I counted 5 types of insurance that we need. Some of it's going to apply to you, some of it won't. Every notary has to have a bond. That's going to protect you for your general notary work. You have to file it with your state. Not all states require you to have a bond. I believe Oregon is one of the states that don't require you to have a bond. Am I correct, Mr. Rod? So you don't have to have a bond there. But a lot of states require you to have a bond, and that's a surety bond that if you do something wrong or hurt someone, that only goes up to 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, depending on the state. Errors and omissions insurance, that's going to cover your notarial work. General liability insurance, if you are moving into becoming a larger, signing service type or managing other notaries, or even if you're just busting your rear end and making a good income, you back into someone's mailbox, errors and omissions insurance doesn't cover that, nor does your car insurance when you're working. So you may want general liability insurance, especially if you have an office. Commercial driving insurance, okay? I will tell you at the amount of transactions that we see notaries get into accidents, even though we write it in the contract before you even accept the order, as most signing services. You are not covered as an independent contractor, and your car insurance, if they find out you are working, are not going to cover you. So you need a commercial policy for your driving. Now, you've heard this with Uber, Lyft, all those things. They'll remove you if you don't have those driving policies. So you need a commercial account. Starting out the gate, do you need it? No, but you're not going to have any coverage really if they find out that you're working an order and that you are driving for work at this moment. If something happens. So you will want to switch to commercial driving. And then to chime in on cybercrime coverage, Unlimited Inc. actually had its first client. I've been preaching this for 2 years, and I know that there's mixed views from different resources if you need cybercrime coverage, but guess what? You're operating online, you're inviting people to come into your computer space, and now we've actually had, and I've carried it for 2 years. There's 2 reasons to cover it, and then I'll shut up. The first reason is because you're going to look like an asset to those title companies, especially with all that happened with Fidelity and First American this year, saying that you're carrying cybercrime coverage, and you say, I have $1 million in cybercrime coverage, if I'm doing RONs for you. They're very particular on those things. That's an asset, but you're protecting yourself with cybercrime, because at any time, anybody can be hacked. And guess what? When it happens on your computer and your time, you're responsible. So you can decide if you want to have it or not. I always consider having more insurance is the best thing, always protect ourselves. But those are the 5 types that I wanted to talk about. And then, Miss Beth, are we ready for a raised hand?
I think so. And guess what? I'm probably not going to pronounce your name correctly, but it looks like Vijaya. Yeah, go ahead and unmute and tell us what state you're in. And I can't hear you. You have to unmute, hon.
I learned today it's VJ.
BJ. Do you have your microphone on, BJ? We still can't hear you.
Still can't hear you, Miss VJ. If you want to type your question in the chat, I'll be looking for it.
That's a shame.
So we'll if you want to type it in the chat, we'll come back to your question, Miss VJ. But you're really fast on typing. She wanted to know if we can share the insurance company we can get for getting these insurances. Absolutely not. First of all, the insurance company that I use may not be available in your state. You can research these, and I would advise you to compare more than one, because I mean, Miss Beth can attest to this. People will charge different rates based on insurance and have the same things. So you have to compare. And then also our attorneys at Notary Stars have always advised us to be very careful about suggesting what insurance policies to go for, because if you purchase that and it doesn't cover you, then you could sue us for suggesting that to you. So you have to make informed decisions as business owners, and we are not insurance brokers. We can talk about insurance and say what types you need, but we cannot say what company to go to.
Thank you.
Oh, there she is. I heard a little bit. All righty. So next up, back to our jot form, guys. Get your hands up if you got questions. I know you've been thinking about it all week. Come on. This is from Omar. He wants to know, this is a really good question. This is a question a lot of notaries ask. How long does it take to be a successful loan signing agent? Ronnie Mickle, I'm throwing this one to you to start, and then I've probably got 2 cents I want to throw in here too.
Well, here's my take. For everybody, it's going to be different. First of all, my background is adult education and training, and I know that different people learn things at different rates, right? Or different paces. We're not in a race to compete with the Joneses. Our job as notaries and loan signing agents is to do the best job possible. So when you hear on the internet, like, I'm doing this and this and this, that's propaganda to get you to buy into certain things. You need to be in a race with yourself, and you need to understand what your limitations are. So success is determined by the individual. It's not determined by what some guy on the internet or some woman on the internet tells you their story about how they got there and how quickly they got there. For those of you who are seeing, I made 150,000 or 130,000, or I made whatever and saved my own life. That's an infomercial. Okay. Those are designed to make you buy, click, and doubt yourself so that you will buy more. And if you go look at any of those that you see out there, look in the descriptions of the videos. It says, if you click here, you can take this same thing, but that's an affiliate link. People are making money off of your insecurities. The first thing I want to say about how long does it take to be successful? It took me about 3 years to truly what I considered success. Okay. And then when I got there, that was no longer a success for me. I needed a bigger number. I needed a bigger pool. So success is going to change in your journey. Once you reach your first goal, you're going to set a new one. So how do you really gauge success other than talking about it with yourself and setting goals and surpassing them? Beth, what's your take?
I think that this business, not unlike other businesses either, guys, we're not that different. We have to have patience. It's a journey. And I'm going to tell you, when you're marketing, you have to have patience. You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of ghosting from people. They're going to act like you're not there. It's patience and persistence in marketing, and patience and persistence and not giving up on that dream. It might be 2 years before you feel like you are actually generating business that you don't have to work too hard to get. But I want to tell you, those first 2 years, it's taken some work and it's taken patience. Just patience quotient.
Miss Beth, I have something from the field I'd like to bring up. Bill, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say sometimes too, don't, the only thing I would change about that question is don't just limit yourself to loan signing agent, because you can also do general notary work and you can do all different kinds of things. So don't tie yourself just down to that, because that will help you increase. And a lot of times it's just being in the right place at the right time. I am kind of the king of dumb luck. I was a remote notary in July of 2019 before the pandemic. So when it happened, I was already very well positioned to just jump right into it. Completely dumb luck. When I started as a loan signing agent, as a in-person notary, I was introduced to somebody the very first week that I worked that had a loan signing service that just worked inside of escrow offices. So I got thrown into it right away. So I was, from the get-go, was pretty good with it because I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. So that's the other component of that. Don't limit yourself, and sometimes it's just right place, right time.
Oh, that's really good advice. I like that. Yep.
Ms.
Um,
Beth- Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Ms. Beth.
I was just going to ask you if you wanted to take up the next question from field reviews or.
Well, I'm the one who put in the field review.
Yeah.
And I want to share this story, but before I do, I want to remind everybody that, we're about 30 minutes into the call, got 120 people, 120 beautiful minds on this call tonight. We would love to hear from you live as well. We have tons of questions that you wrote in, and these are great questions, and some of them are experience from the field, but we would love to hear from you if you have something that you want to share or if you have a question. But I do want to get this out tonight because it was on last week's general mentorship and we didn't get to it. There was an experience on signing order where I read a review on a notary, and I think this is really, really important to get out. I don't delete my scanned documents right away. I have a secure drive that's not connected to my computer that I put my documents on, and I keep them after I've scanned them. And whether that company wants me to scan them or not, I want to know if I did something wrong. But you can't tell companies that you have a scanned copy. So I read a review on signing order that came 4 months after the closing, and they wrote the notary and said, hey, you didn't do this. And the notary actually had a scan, and they wrote back and said, yes, I did. Here's the scan. This is where they got in trouble. They sent a copy through email, not secure email, back to the company. So they not only told them that they're keeping the scans, but they also sent the copy through email. Okay. Here's how to handle that situation. If you have a post-closing issue, that's what we call them, okay? I shouldn't use air quotes there. It's not an air quote. It's a post-closing issue. 4 months, 2 years from the date. This is what you state. It is my policy to see a copy of the document before providing any loose certificates or returning to verify that I've actually done something wrong. Okay? So you need, and I learned this a long time ago. Don't tell them you have a copy, that you can see it and you didn't do anything wrong. Because I know when you see it, you're like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm going to send you this email. Don't do that. Okay? Use this statement, and I've done it with even the biggest of the biggest, AMROC. They'll say, we need you to go back. You didn't do this right. And I always, and they are blacklist you in a second. I always just write back, I would love to help you, but it is my policy to see a copy of the document that you are requesting a correction on before I provide you a loose certificate to correct it or returning to the signers to correct it so I can see what I did wrong.
This is a reminder.
Alexa, stop.
Take
So make sure you use that policy so that you don't let people know if you are keeping documents. It's a personal choice if you decide to break the protocol. Ms. Beth, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, exactly. I always kind of play dumb and say, wow, gosh, I can't imagine I did that. I'm going to need to see a copy of that. Let me take a look at it, send me a copy, and then we'll figure out what we need to do to get this fixed. And they usually send it over to you in pretty short time.
I think
It's
we
a
have
RON
special guest
document.
here. I think we have a special guest, don't we?
We do. Miss D. Laura is in the gallery. So Laura is our partner with U.S. Health Advisors. She's our go-to gal when we have a notary entrepreneur that needs health insurance. Delora, if you're in the crowd, raise your hand so I can find you.
There you go. You've been made co-host, so you can unmute at will.
There you go.
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to be here. Thank you again for having me. I just wanted to introduce myself. I am Delora, and as Beth said, I'm with U.S. Health Advisors. So I am a health insurance advisor. I can help you with policies that you currently have right now if you need to go over them. I can help answer questions while you're using your current policy. I can help you find policies that are specifically made for small business owners and self-employed people like yourselves. I know open enrollment is over as far as the marketplace goes and Obamacare, but there are still plans that you can switch to if you're not currently happy with your own. If you know any kind of help at all, I'm here for you guys. My information is on the website, and I'm happy to help anytime.
Thank you, Mr. Long. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, you know, the marketplace may have a better rate. You may have a lower rate. You never know unless you try. And we understand that if you get health insurance from your husband or your wife or those sorts of things, this may not be an avenue for you. But every business owner, we talked about other types of insurance that we need to have tonight. Health insurance is one of them, because if you're not healthy and something happens, you won't be able to run a business, and it might put you out of business to run up medical bills. So at least give it a try, go through it and see if Delora can save you money on your health insurance or get you better coverage just the coverage that you need. It's something I feel very adamant about. When I was 21, I got bacterial meningitis, spent 6 weeks in a coma, and ran up a $500,000 medical bill. At the time, that was really, really expensive. You don't want to do that to yourself, because it delayed my plans for 7.5 years when I filed bankruptcy on those medical bills. So as a business owner, you have to have insurance. So thank you for being here, and we hope you'll come back and just keep reminding us about staying covered, whether it's through you or anybody.
Well, that's right. And, you know, it doesn't have to be with me, but health insurance is not one size fits all. So it's important to find what you need as an individual or as a family or as a small business. And that's what I'm here to help you navigate.
And guys, thank you, Miss Delora, for coming by. I'm going to actually be posting in the chat. We have a page dedicated just to Miss Delora and under the Notary Resources for health insurance plans. I'm going to post that in the chat. That has the initial video when she came in to talk to us about health insurance on that page. It has her updated flyers, and it also has some other cost-saving things for healthcare on there, not related to Delora, like GoodRx and Cost Plus, if you're not informed about those things. So thank you so much, Ms. Delora, for coming by, and please come by every month that you can, and just remind us to stay insured.
I sure will. Thank you guys for having me again. Have a great night.
You too.
Laura. Hey, Ronnie, we've got a hand raised in the gallery. This is Cookie. Cookie Daniels. Cookie, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Okay, hi guys. I just came on to say hi. No, I'm just kidding. About the signing orders, like the review, Ronnie, you said, can we see those reviews? Like, how does that work?
You cannot, but I'm working on it. I honestly believe, you know, when you're an Uber driver, which is so beneath what we actually do, I've made, and I know all of us I still have an Uber and Lyft sticker on my car, so I don't mean Uber drivers are beneath us, but we have a lot more responsibility for what we do as notaries for our states and as loan signing agents. I think it's time that SnapDocs and signing orders show us our quality score. Okay, so that we know what our quality score is, because how do you get better at a job if you don't know your quality is going down, right? AMROC tells you, I can show you my quality score. It's 100% right now, but you make one little error and it's down. So it's time that we start knowing our quality, but no, right now you can't see those. And I've advocated for lots of things in the background that they're working on, but at this moment on signing order, you can't see your quality score. But I think it's time in this industry we start seeing our quality score. You know,
So for you, Ronnie, like on Unlimited Ink, do you message the customer or give a survey or something for us, or like?
Our title companies actually send out surveys, a lot of our title companies send surveys that are unrelated to Unlimited Ink Notary about your experience. And the only
Okay.
time we hear anything is when it's negative.
Okay,
If we don't hear anything, we consider it positive.
okay,
We always say no news is good news. The
Mm.
only time we ever hear anything is when it's negative. We are technically, title would have to inform us to remove you or blacklist you, or now what they call blocklisting, because I told them blacklisting is actually an illegal term that we can't really talk about. We're the only one that can technically do that to your profile, but you know, you don't get to see it. And one thing that I advocated for recently was you, before when I was choosing notaries, I could only see how many people blacklisted them and their average, medium, their good, medium, and negative ground feedback. Now we can see how many people like you. And I'll tell you, this was a game changer for notaries this year in signing order, because you might have 3 companies blacklist you, but you might have 28 companies who hearted you. And being able to see that comparison. So we're making big strides, and I'm kind of making waves with bringing this feedback, and signing order seems to be the only one really responding to that with notaries. And I hope one day that you'll be able to see your feedback. And you know, and here's the thing, you and me, right? AmRock, if you make an order, or you make a mistake with AmRock, your quality score goes down. It doesn't haunt you for the rest of your life. It haunts you for 30 days, and then it falls off. Sometimes you have to call them and say, hey, my quality score is not back to normal, and they'll go in and take it off. I'm hoping that signing order will take this path to work with notaries that way, because in SnapDocs currently and any other platform, Unlimited Ink Notary takes it off after 30 days. If you make an error, as long as you go correct it, it's only middle ground. We might ding you in your quality score, but we take it off. I wish that was an automatic process. We have a whole, we call it a tracker, where they go in and take it off, or we go in and take it off, and we work with notaries. And if you get too many, some of you on this call have been a part of that, where I call and say, hey, so-and-so, not doing so well, you know, and we kind of send you back through training and get you going. But no, you can't see those, and I wished you could.
but you could see it on us.
I can see it, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. So they actually, I know I'm talking too much and I want to get to more questions, but signing order, actually, when you go to look at a notary's profile, there's a little box that pops up and it says, you do understand if you share this with a notary, you will lose your ability to see these reviews and have these statistics. Casey, who built signing order, actually told me, we put that box there for you, because I would call good notaries and be like, did you know what they said about you? and I had no shame, because I didn't know what I was doing when I first started becoming a large nationwide signing service. I had access to all this information about notaries, and I wanted to help every single one of them. Like, oh, let's turn those 10 bad reviews around. And then they were like, you can't share that. But I do think it's time that they push that quality score that we see on the back end to the front. So, and don't make it forever. Just, if you add negative feedback, it lasts 30 days or 60 days. And everybody who works with AmRock, which you can make a really wonderful paycheck from, we all know if we made a mistake, you got to learn from it, because they need perfectionists. That billion-dollar company, I only owned a small multi-million-dollar company. I based Unlimited Ink off of how AmRock runs, and I can see my quality score there.
Well, I'm just glad I made all my mistakes with other companies than signing order.
No, they all have the ability. They all have the ability. Unlimited Ink
I
is
know.
probably the only company that removes it after 30 days.
Yeah, it was with one company when I first started, and I had to go back to 2 jobs, but I've been good. I think on signing order, I haven't had to go back on any, I don't think. I don't remember now, but cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Ryan, there is a question in the chat that goes back to your talking about keeping documents, showing or not showing your cards, asking for them to show you what the error is. And a couple of people have asked, then what do you show them to show them, you didn't make that mistake they're claiming?
Well, just what I said, when you say it is my policy to see a copy of the document that you need me to provide a loose certificate for or to return to correct. When you say that, they have to show you what you did wrong. Okay? If they say it's a missing document, Unlimited Ink Notary, if anybody that's dropped off for us locally, it says you have 2 hours from the time of this dropped off to report a missing document. Because we will pay the notary to go out again and go out and get that document. They sign a receipt saying we got the package and you have 2 hours from that timestamp or we will charge. I've had instances where title companies lay down the deed on someone's desk while they're talking and then walk away and forget where they put it and say the notary never brought it. True stories. Okay, so it needs to be your policy and you cannot tell them if you have scans. Okay. It needs to be your policy to say, I need a copy. If they say, well, it never received, you can say, well, I need proof it wasn't in the package. And we talked about this on last general mentorship about how to tell if the package has been tampered with and how the notary takes photos of their front and back of their packages, which the weight and you could see if there was any tape or not tape and all those things save the day. So just make sure you start out with, it is my policy. If it's a document to say you did incorrectly, and if it's a deed, guys, check the vesting and the date on the deed. Sometimes I've seen companies send a new deed because they need a new deed executed and they want to tell you you did it wrong. Check that date and the vesting to make sure they're not sending you a new deed to execute for the day, because you can only re-execute the exact file. And the way I caught that one, guys, was I told them I will reprint it from the original file. No. Print from this file. No. I'm going to print the original file. So you have to be very careful that they're not sending you documents to re-execute for a past date, because there is a difference between correcting a document that existed and was on the table and backdating a document.
Or sending another loose certificate for a document that wasn't in the package.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's happened to me before. And I've had venue corrections on my documents that I send back. They go through and somebody on that QC desk is changing the venue and scribbling an initial, and then they're sending it back to me telling me that I did it incorrectly. And I said, well, I need to see what exactly I did. And they send me a copy of it and they say, dude, that correction is not mine. That's not my initial. That's not my handwriting. Somebody in your office made those corrections after it left my hands.
Yeah.
And
Ms. Beth, I think this is actually a perfect time to raise this up because you've been doing this for quite a while. A good client that's a direct client is not going to ask you to do anything bad for them. They're going to feel bad for asking you. It's going to be the company that you don't work with all the time and that escrow officer made a big boo-boo or the lender made a big boo-boo and they're trying to correct it. And you don't work with them all the time. Anybody that you work with a lot is generally probably not going to ask you to do bad things or make corrections that and for those of you doing RON, moving into that sector, Bill, you could probably comment on this. Moving into the RON sector, you really can't help them because when it goes through RON, you're on camera. You're on mute there, Bill. There you go.
Yeah, no, my dog started barking right at you. Question. Yeah, with RON, there's not anything you can do. If there's a mistake, it has to be re-signed because it's locked. It's locked in the thing. No,
but you certainly have less signing services and or title companies, lenders or title companies coming back and saying you did something wrong when you didn't, right? There's no using the notary as a scapegoat to cover somebody else's error. And Ron, it's on video, man. It is what it is, right?
That is beautiful. Having it on video, having it recorded, because there's no question about it. Now, the document itself is not recorded. When you're in a RON session, the document and they're affixing their initials or signatures, that's not recorded, but the verbal back and forth is, and that can be a wonderful thing, and it can also be a curse. So you have to be very careful. You have to be very careful.
Miss Beth, we have a lot of questions and a little time left.
Okay.
For you guys to know, we have about 10 minutes left on this session, about 12 actually. If you're here and you have a question, get that hand raised because we have 12 minutes left. I actually want to skip over some questions, and I really want to get to some of the ones about notarial documents, because we've talked a lot about processes and different things tonight, and you and Bill kind of have equal parts on questions that were written in. So I'd really like to get to those and kind of skip the marketing questions, because I do a lot of marketing tips on Instagram if you guys want to follow me there. But Miss Beth, I think this one's probably really in your wheelhouse. From
Okay.
from Matthew B. Do you want to read it or do you want me to read it out?
You can read it out.
Okay, it says in the optional part of a loose leaf acknowledgement, does it matter if the title or type of the document matches the actual name of the document in the package? For example, I got a loose acknowledgement with the description of attached document filled in as mortgage/deed of trust, but then the actual document in the package is named security deed. I know, and then I think you're supposed to answer from there.
Yeah, he put in parentheses, he already knows that the mortgage or deed of trust are both security instruments.
Mhm.
So here's my reply on that. Most states that require a journal use the verbiage, title, or description of the document for these purposes. A security deed is a mortgage or a deed of trust. So you'd be fine with a description of or a title. So the fact that the title doesn't match still qualifies. It's a security deed. So that's a description, right? So it depends on what your state regulations say. For those 4 pieces of information, it's probably reads title or description. You're in good shape. Does that help?
I think so. There's another one for you, but I'm gonna come back to you because I want to make sure we have time to get these in, and I don't want to miss the RON notaries on here. There's actually a question from our Facebook question. So we pull questions from different areas, not just the jot form, but I don't want the Facebook questions to go unanswered. And then we're gonna get to Lou, who's got his hand raised. So Lou, don't let your hand get tired up there, virtually raised. Bill, I want to get this one in tonight. It says, does the RON platform provide a script, or do you need to provide your own? I think this is the perfect question for you to address tonight.
Sure. So the generally speaking, the RON platform usually does not supply the script. They don't have the verbiage that you're going to go through. The exception to that is like if you're doing work for them. So for instance, Notarize, now called Proof, was one of the first big ones out there. And because you were always working on their clients, they had a script that you read through. And from that script, most other places now have kind of adopted that script. And so there is no set script, though. A lot of it really depends on what the person that you're signing it for wants, the receiver of the document. We cover that in our weekly class. We've talked about scripts a few times and kind of talk about what you should get in as far as, you need to make sure that you indicate to them that the session's being audio video recorded. You want them to state their name. You want to have them answer a couple of questions, like agreeing to electronically signing, making sure they understand that it's just as legally binding when we did it electronically. You want to do your witnesses. same way. And you want to, especially if you got like an elderly person or somebody that may not, they may be ill or partially infirmed, you also want to be asking enough questions in there to establish their capacity. And are they even with it? You know, are you able to sign for them? So it's kind of a mixed bag of answers. Yes, there is kind of a generic script that most people use, and it stemmed from when Notarize put theirs together. Is there an absolute script that you have to use? No. But if you come to class on Friday and you want to ask me a specific question about a script or would this work, I can certainly tell you, yeah, that sounds good, or no, I wouldn't say it like this. So hope that answers.
That was great. Thank you, Bill. Now, Ms. Beth, before we go to the next question for you, which I really hope to get in because it's a really good question. I want to get to Lou. Lou, can you unmute and ask your question there?
Sure. I don't know if this question was answered, but who is Amrock?
Amrock is the title company for Quicken Loans, now Rocket Mortgage, and that is probably the largest lender in the country, or one of them, definitely on the top 3. And it's every notary's dream to work with Amrock because they pay well, but they are perfectionists. Notaries cannot make errors. You won't work. But it is a sweet spot for notaries, especially those working with signing services. So Amrock
How do
is,
you get on the list?
you got to contact them and there will be a waiting list for sure. Because whereas most signing services need thousands of notaries to operate in every area, Amrock only needs a handful because those notaries are trained well and they're going to make you wait. So they need 2 years experience, 200 signings, and if you mess up with them, they just won't use it again. So you can apply for them. You just go to amrock.com and look for their notary section, and that's how you get on with them.
I had an experience with Old Dominion. It was my first signing, and I missed 2 pages for signatures. It was a 1,000-page document, and I corrected it, and they haven't used me since.
Who was it?
Old Dominion Title Company.
I don't know them, but I'm sorry for that experience because do you know them, Miss Beth?
Yeah, they're a Becky's title company, Northeast.
And I don't know when that was, Lou, but the market is slow. It could be that they just haven't had a file since then, but I don't believe in throwing notaries away that will correct their errors. If they threw you away from one thing, I just say let them go.
Yeah.
You don't want clients that are not forgiving.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then, go ahead, Miss Beth.
Huh. This is kind of a 2-part question in jot form. I'm going to try and get through it without taking up too much time. I'm sure Ronnie, being a signing agency owner, may have a comment or 2 he wants to make on this, but let me give you the first half of this. This is from Jamie E. I think it's probably Jamie E. Layer, right? In many of the training videos, it's said that often title companies under signing services will count the pages that you scan back, and they need to match with what's sent to you. However, it's also stated that in closings, that includes a right to cancel. We should leave 2 copies out of the 3 of the right to cancel with the signer. That would mean the package would be 2 pages shy on the page count. Could you clarify? Do we leave 2 of the 3 signed RCT pages with the signer, or do we return all 3 with the signers? Okay. So, Jamie, they do look at page count, but here's a couple of things I'm going to throw out there. If you're 1 or 2 pages short, they're not going to stop the signing and send it back to you and ask you where the rest of the pages are. You likely will have taken a shipping label out of that total page count. So that's going to account for one of those RTCs, right? That you're leaving with them. Plus, you're going to be adding back, maybe, depends on whether you're uploading to a platform or not, a copy of that ID. So you're gonna be within a couple of pages. When we say, if you're short on those scan backs, we mean you're approaching 5, 6, 10 pages. They're not going to go through that whole file to figure out what's missing. They're gonna send it back to you and say you don't have a complete scan back. You're a couple of pages short. They're all smart enough to know that we're adding copies of IDs, leaving copies of RTCs with the signers. So a few pages, you're golden. Glaring differences in file size, that's what they're gonna look at. You could, if you wanted to be super hands-on with that, is put a note in the file. Blank piece of paper right on top. Original file size, 93 pages. Return package, 91 pages. Deficit due to RTCs left with clients. Something very short and sweet. You could also do that same thing by putting a note on the order if you got it through a platform. That's something else you could do too. Probably not necessary, but what they're looking at is 5, 6, 10 pages that are off, okay? The other half of the video or the question says, one of the videos suggests that if the signers do indeed decide to cancel, but the form they signed was not executed, the form they signed to cancel, the right to cancel, that second line that says, hey, I want to cancel on the right to cancel form, was not executed, could it be declined? The answer is yes. A lot of times those lenders and title companies won't accept a request to cancel if the original acceptance of that right to cancel, that first line that says, I acknowledged I received this 3 days ago, if that line's not signed as well, when they sign the I want to cancel line, there's a good chance it could be rejected. So not all title and lenders go that direction, but they could, and we don't really know who that is necessarily, right? Unless you work with someone a lot, then you'll kind of figure that out. Yeah, you want to make sure all 3 copies that are in the package or that you're making sure are in the package, because remember, sometimes we only get one. We got to print 2 extras or take the copies out of the signer's package to make up that difference. We want to make sure all 3 are signed at the table. Regulation Z for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says we must leave 2 copies with each borrower and send 1 back in the package. So the answer is, yeah, it could be rejected. You want to make sure you just get it signed and you're golden. Ronnie, any comment on that?
Yeah, this is why I'm so happy to put my name on your paycheck every month, because you are so brilliant. I just love how thorough you are. I have nothing to add to that. You nailed it. So I appreciate you for covering that. I want to keep going with the questions. We actually have more, and they're going to have to roll to the next session because this is an hour session. I want to ask you, we're going to ask you to please turn on your cameras. Before you hang up, I'm going to ask you to stick around for 1 more minute. I want to cut the feed because I want to have a private conversation with you guys. It'll only take a minute. But before that, can I ask you to please turn on your cameras so that we can give our signature wave to Miss Beth, Mr. Bill, who are here to answer questions. Wave to your neighbor of a notary. Make a connection on the screen. Look for somebody that has marked themselves in your state. Let's do our signature wave. And the way I say it is, if you are not naked and you are not stuffing your face with a sandwich right now, turn on those cameras so we can see you, so we can scroll through so the other notaries can see you. But Miss Beth, how do we professionally say it here?
Listen, guys, we are all in the same storm. We're not all in the same boat. Some of us have yachts, some of us have canoes, and some are still dog paddling. Just remember to be kind, reach back and grab the hand of that notary next to you and bring them along on your journey. Show them the way you're moving. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.